The one thing I nearly left behind, it saved my sanity 50 miles in. There's always that one item you second guess before a trip. Looks unnecessary, maybe even a little dumb, so it gets left behind. But over the years, I've learned that some of those "why would I bring this" items turned out to be super clutch. They solved real problems at the worst times in ways I didn't expect. So here are 5 pieces of gear I almost didn't pack and exactly how they improved my trips. So I put off buying this thing for way too long, not because I didn't know it existed, I just couldn't justify it. I already had a Spork. Actually, I had 3. First, one of those free plastic ones that snapped on my first trip. Then I got a sturdier plastic one from REI. That one made it through a couple trips before it started losing teeth one at a time. So eventually I upgraded to a legit titanium Spork. That was the one I figured would last forever, but it had a major downside. If you're eating freeze-dried meals straight from the bag, and most of us are, standard Sporks just aren't long enough. You get about halfway through dinner and your hands already fully submerged in spaghetti. I'd find myself trying to pinch the fork at the very end just with my fingertips, but that never really worked. So I just end up with messy fingers and another chore after dinner, going to wash my hands. So eventually I gave in and bought the Tokes titanium long-handled Spork. And yeah, it works. Perfect length for dehydrated meals, zero mess, totally clean hands. It's a simple upgrade, but it solves a problem that showed up on every single trip for me. So yeah, it's a spoon, but if you're still using the one that came with your meal kit or you're sick of scraping beef stroganoff off your fingers, this might be your most underrated upgrade. I wish I hadn't waited until Spork number 4 to figure that out. When I started backpacking, I didn't get why people bought extra tent stakes. My tent already came with some. They were small, light, and seemed just fine. So when I saw people dropping 20 bucks on a set of MSR Groundhogs, I kind of scoffed. They looked bulky, kind of overbuilt. I figured they were for like mountaineering tents, not simple shelters like mine. Then I got caught in a real storm, the kind where the rain's hitting you sideways with 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's when I learned those tiny stakes that came with my tent, they twisted on me. They pulled out. They just didn't hold when I really needed them. And the last place you want to be outside your tent fixing your guy lines is during a torrential downpour at 2 in the morning. The MSR Groundhogs changed that. They're Y-beam stakes, kind of like little anchors that bite into the soil and hold fast even in high winds. And because that design gives them more surface area, they work in all kinds of terrain. Soft forest duff, rocky soil, even loose dirt if you pound them in deep enough. They're not just stronger, they're also surprisingly lightweight for how they perform. The standard size Groundhogs weigh about 2/3 of an ounce each, and they've held firm for me in wind and wet soil. And if you're trying to go even lighter, they make a mini version as well at just over 1/3 of an ounce per stake. But honestly, the standard ones are already light enough for me that I never have to think twice about packing them. This is one of those upgrades that you might not fully appreciate until something goes sideways. But ever since that big storm, the MSR Groundhogs go in my pack every single trip. For a long time in my early backpacking career, I thought I was already going pretty light. I had a 2-ounce travel-sized bottle of Dr. Bronner's and I actually told myself, nice, that's pretty ultralight. The bottle I use for my soak now, it's 0.1 ounces and it lasts me a full 2 to 3 night trip easy. These little dropper bottles from lightsmith.com come in all sizes and they're one of the things that seem like too nerdy to matter until you actually use them. Then they're everywhere in your pack. I love to use this tiny one with my Dr. Bronner's soap because the soap is concentrated so it only takes a few drops to wash my hands at camp. That switch alone from the original 2-ounce bottle saved me a full 2 ounces. These medium ones are great for sunscreen, hot sauce, or even olive oil. And I use this flip top one for fuel if I'm bringing an alcohol stove. They're all pretty leak proof, super tough, and basically weightless, which means you can finally stop hauling around half-used containers just because they came in the travel size. And the best part, the full pack of bottles only cost around $5. I honestly don't even remember where I found this thing. It was some random ultralight zip pouch I had sitting around, and one day I just clipped it onto the side of my hip belt to see what would happen. Before that, I never gave these pouches much thought. They always looked kind of awkward. I assumed they'd bounce against my leg, feel bulky, or just get annoying over time. And honestly, I didn't see that many people using them, so I figured they weren't really necessary. But after my first trip using this thing, I was sold. I started keeping my snacks in it, my lip balm, gloves, sunscreen, my water filter, anything I'd normally have to stop and dig out of my pack to access. Now I don't even have to take off my pack every time I want something small while hiking. I just reach down, grab what I need, and keep moving. And as long as I stick to lightweight items, it doesn't swing very much, doesn't really bounce, and I pretty much forget it's there until I need to grab something. So if you want something similar, Osprey makes one called the Ultralight Zipper Pouch, and it looks like a solid version. And there are tons of other options out there too. Pretty much any zippered pouch that can clip or lash onto a hip belt will get the job done. It's definitely not a flashy piece of gear, and yeah, it's kind of flirting with fanny pack territory, but honestly, it works. It makes the rhythm of your hike smoother, and when you're out there all day, keeping that momentum without having to stop and take off your pack is a key part of staying efficient and conserving energy hour after hour. All right, this is one of those pieces of gear I used to totally roll my eyes at before I started backpacking. I used to think, why would I carry a trowel when there are rocks and sticks everywhere? And if the ground's really hard, I'll just use a tent stake. Do I really need a dedicated tool just to dig a hole? Turns out, yeah. I kind of do, because after you dig down about an inch or two, most dirt doesn't feel like dirt anymore. It feels like compacted clay or straight up cement. And when nature calls, the last thing you want to do is spend an hour scraping away at the forest floor like a squirrel in denial. And that's where the trowel comes in. I picked this one up from Dutchware, and it's a compact titanium trowel that's lightweight, tough, and surprisingly effective in just about any terrain. Loose soil, hard pack, roots, rocks, it'll cut through all of it with way less frustration than whatever you find lying around. And honestly, it just makes following leave no trace principles easier. When it's quick and painless to dig a proper hole, you're way more likely to do it right, and please do, even when it's cold, late, or you're half awake in the dark. And here's a tip: if you encounter hard, compacted soil, you want to jam the trowel into the dirt and then twist it. This will break up the dirt faster than trying to use it like a traditional scoop. I also recommend wrapping a small bandana or piece of cloth around the handle, since at least with mine, the sides can be a little sharp, and this allows you to grip it harder when digging into packed ground. Now, this is not a glamorous piece of gear, but when you need it, you really need it. After enough sketchy moments digging in bad soil as fast as I could, I stopped pretending that it wasn't worth the wait. The funny thing is, none of these felt essential when I first saw them. I either skipped them, mocked them, or assumed I'd never need them. And if you're looking for more gear that absolutely crushes it, check out this next video on the 5 pieces of backpacking gear I'd buy again in a heartbeat. All right, hope this saves you a few regrets out there, and I'll see you out on the trail.